Let's say she gets married to a 31-year-old guy. That to you, no go, right?
Yes.
Can the 18-year-old, though, override the vote of the 31-year-old guy? She can nullify his vote by just voting against him.
I wouldn't agree, I guess.
Yeah, so
Yes.
so how is she informed enough to do that? She's informed enough to vote against him for all social issues in society, but is not informed enough to date him.
Because I think that relationships and voting for a society are two different
one's
things.
way more important, and that would be voting for societal issues, right? Not saying that I would. I'm just pointing out this contradiction.
A disagreement you have with the show is age gap relationships.
Yes.
You're against them for a multitude of reasons. Why is that?
Because of the natural imbalance that can happen within a age gap relationship for both genders. Naturally, someone who's much older is going to have more education, they're going to have more life experience, they're going to have a bigger income, and because of that imbalance, there is a higher risk for abuse or manipulation. That's why I'm against them. And I will add that I am a child of an age gap relationship. My father is 19 years older than my mother. And I have several family members that are in age gap relationships, and I have seen them negatively be affected by them.
Should your parents get divorced?
Yes. My mother was 21 when she divorced my father.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, okay. Not were they divorced? Would you recommend that all of your friends who are in age gap relationships get a divorce?
I think it depends per relationship and the amount of age that the gap is. So, for example, if it's 10 years or younger, that's
So
fine.
let's say you had one that are in a 15-year age gap relationship, a friend. They've been married for 5 years, and they have 2 kids together. Would you recommend that they go ahead and get divorced?
If the woman is being any kind of abused or isn't...
Well, no, she says that she absolutely adores him, and he says the same thing, and they have kids together, and they seem happy. Should they get a divorce?
Then I wouldn't recommend a divorce if they're happy.
Then age gaps themselves are not the problem then.
I would still say it's a problem just because of all of the reasons I listed earlier of like the older person having a power imbalance.
What is the power imbalance?
Like I said, they have more money, they have more life experience. It's
What if
easier
they
to
don't,
manipulate the younger person into believing, okay, I'm this perfect like partner that's going to, do all of these things for you, and then in the end, they're maybe like not paying all the bills. You're trying to make sure that you're staying home.
But can't that happen in an age-similar relationship?
Okay, I can give you a perfect example. My mother immigrated here with my father at 18, pregnant with me. My father was the provider. My father went out and worked. But a lot of times the lights would go out because he wasn't paying the electric bill. He was gambling. My mother, it wasn't until my mother started speaking full English and was able to go get a job that we were able to reliably stay in a home.
What does that have
Hold on,
anything to do?
those things could manifest themselves in an equal age relationship.
Well, that's also culturally informed. So they were coming from which nation?
Lebanon.
Yeah, so there it's very
Where age
common.
gap relationships are very
Yeah,
common.
not only very common, but so are incestuous relationships, right?
Yes.
Also very common.
Cousins get married there.
First cousins.
Yes, yes, they
So
do.
the thing is like the idea of having the cultural information, being culturally informed. Don't you think that here in the United States, there's a huge distinction between, they're 16, 17, 18 in Iran and they're marrying a 30-year-old because that's part of how they keep legacies together with their first cousins or whatever and various things like this. And I live in the United States and can freely choose who I'm with, and I have very different cultural information.
But those kinds of marriages happen here too.
No,
17-year-olds get married,
Yeah, but
18-year-olds
they're
get
not
married.
usually-
I
they're not
personally
arranged
know.
marriages.
I personally know a 19-year-old that got married to a 53-year-old.
Okay.
What's the issue
And they
with
were
that?
they were constantly boasting their age gap relationship.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting divorced.
Yeah,
And
but
she
let's say
ended
they
up getting
didn't.
verbally and emotionally abused.
But let's say they didn't end up getting
Control
divorced.
imbalance.
Hang on.
Yeah, control
But let's say
imbalance.
they didn't end up getting divorced, and let's say there was no emotional abuse, and let's say they had 2 kids, and let's say right now they were still happy. What would your issue then? Would you have an issue with it? With the age
No,
gap
because
itself?
for me, my issue with the age gap comes with the power imbalance.
So
and
your
the-
issue is not with
the-
age gaps, it's with power imbalances.
Yes and no, because there's still that maturity level that you reach when
But
you
it's
get
not-
to a certain
yeah.
age, and
Life
then
experience.
But it's not inherent. to the thing, right? So if anytime I ask you what's the actual issue with the age gap, you point to things that have nothing to do with the age gap itself. So if it's the case that you had an age gap where the power was not imbalanced from your view,
She's saying
then
life
that age gap,
experience.
Right.
well, but even then, you could have like a 30-year-old shut-in guy who marries a 19-year-old who's traveled with her parents all over the world. Then the experience seems equally yoked or similarly
But
yoked.
she's not emotionally mature because her prefrontal cortex has not fully developed.
Then why is she allowed to vote?
That's different than entering a marriage.
Well,
That's far
Affecting
different.
the outcome of
you
far
can
different,
vote.
because if I
You can
enter a
vote on who
marriage-
can vote, or you can vote on who can get married, but you can't get married.
No, I mean, you can get married, but I would think that it would be to a detriment or inappropriate for an 18-year-old to get married to a 30-year-old or a 50-year-old.
Yeah,
Because again,
But I don't-
there's
I don't-
not just life experience, there's education, there's emotional maturity.
Yeah, but do you see like the conflation you're doing here? An 18-year-old, let's say she gets married to a 31-year-old guy. That to you, no go, right? That's
Yes.
like no go.
Yes.
Can the 18-year-old though override the vote of the 31-year-old guy?
Override?
Yeah, meaning she can nullify his vote by just voting against
I wouldn't
him.
agree that. I mean, I would say they both deserve the right to vote.
They both have the right, but she
Yes.
can vote against him, which nullifies his vote.
I guess.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so how is she informed enough to do that? She's informed enough to vote against him for all social issues in society, but is not informed enough to date him.
Because I think that relationships and voting for a society are two different
yeah, one's
things.
way more important, and that would be
One-
voting for societal
It
issues, right?
involves a bunch of people
But
to override each
being
other's
in a
votes.
relationship,
This is only two people.
Right, that's
Very
right.
effective.
But being
It's
in a
only two
relationship, you
people,
put your
but
body
now
and your
you're
mental
letting an
health at risk.
18-year-old vote in my interests, but at the same time saying that it would be somehow immoral if somebody my age dated one. And it's like, wait, what? That's bizarre. Not saying that I would. I'm just pointing out this hypocrisy, or not hypocrisy, but contradiction.
You guys aren't coming together
It
as a
would be-
unit, though. You're just
Yeah, but
like
what would that have to-
intermeshing in society.
Yeah, but the thing is like if you can vote against my interests, right, then we're considering you the same type of adult that I am. And so if that's the case, if you're being imbued with the power of being the same kind of adult as me, then suddenly this saying that, hey, I'm going to infantilize women or infantilize young men and tell them that they can't do X or shouldn't do X, that seems silly to me. It's like, are they adults or are they not adults?
They're adults, but they live and they learn. And if they come across a man that's not then, you know, that just because he's older doesn't make him him acting like a makes him a at that point.
But that's true at
They're
any
18,
age.
My
they can
fear
consent.
But isn't that
is
true at any age?
relationships have all these different
Yeah, isn't that true at
circumstances
any
as well.
age?
That-
Like women at 21
there's
dating a
real
21-year-old should
predators.
avoid 21-year-old.
target minors, and at
We're
18
not
they have
talking
that
about
choice
Sure.
to go and
pedophiles.
date an older man, and if they do so, there might be consequences. It might be great. They might get abused.
There's
At the
also
end of-
18-year-old
That's not
girls
every
who
single-
target lonely men. Like, so what?
That's
so
way.
it's like, so what?
That is a way lower number of people.
Based on
Men?
what? No. You said men who are specifically targeting 18-year-olds to date them.
So
Does
didn't
that-
say 18
by the
younger
way-
women?
Wait, what?
Yeah, you're targeting an 18-year-old to date her. That makes you free.
No, what makes you a is if it's not consensual. At 18,
Right.
they can consent. That
Of
is their
course.
right to do so.
That's my
Yes,
whole point.
They
We're not
are being
saying non-consensual relationships.
How do you?
Yeah, I'm just saying
be
what
highly
would make them a
manipulative,
predator.
though.
They
So
can
what
be
would make a
manipulated.
30-year-old guy for
Same
wanting to
age
date
can be
18-year-olds then?
They
Yeah,
can.
Because
You
they
can be
know that
manipulated
they have
at
less
any single
experience
age,
with dating.
yes.
More.
It's easier to get
wanna
them
go-
to
stop.
do
You
what they
wanna-
want to do.
Go ahead.
So I think Michaela Peterson actually made a tweet about this the other day. It went pretty viral. I think it's just cope for older women.
Totally.
Like being jealous of the younger women that
agree.
are still fertile and desired by older men.
I disagree.
entirely.
And
Yeah, I know.
also
I've been
it's about-
approached by a 20-year-old that wanted
Hold
to
on.
date me
Stop.
so badly.
Stop. Let her finish her point.
Okay, I think I lost my train of thought. But basically,
That's why we don't want people interrupting. If you can.
Fertility.
Well, you were referencing Michaela Peterson.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So basically, it's not because most of the time that the men are desiring the women for their age, it's because they're desiring the traits of, like, the typical traits of a woman that age.
Not every younger woman is going to be fertile.
It's more typical.
Okay,
It's
bean
not about
soup,
fertility,
guys. Bean
You guys,
soup.
you
It's
guys
not about
out-
fertility,
this
it's
whole
about
night,
a
you guys have
multiple
been
mind.
Arguing
also about a lot of-
outliers,
Is
that
and it
right?
just like
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in the idea of like biological evolution?
Yes.
Okay. So the whole idea of evolution is to procreate, right? It's to reproduce. That's like the
Yes.
primary edict.
Yes.
So wouldn't attraction be built into that primary edict?
Yes.
Okay, so what would a man then be looking for the most based on attraction from an evolutionary standpoint to guarantee reproduction?
Childbearing hips, fertile
Young
woman.
women. Wait, young women?
I mean,
Ew.
they don't have to
Ew,
be
Not women their own age with
What's
the same
wrong with
maturity
Women that aren't
levels.
disrespecting them.
No,
Hang
I'm
on.
saying
Let
imagine
me-
these young
let-
women that's
yeah.
sounding
Why?
as fuck.
Why is it
let's-
not every
well,
man
hang on.
wants to
You mean
reproduce
adults?
either?
Hang on,
You
adult
mean
adult women.
Like,
We're not-
we
but-
can't
Yeah,
act
but
like
like when you're always
women.
looking for a young, we're talking about like much younger.
Yeah, I'm
too.
talking about that too.
We're not talking
Yeah.
about like 15-year-olds. We're
No,
talking
we're
about
not. We're talking about
adults.
18. We're
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
18-year-olds, which I do
talking
consider
about
children.
them. We're talking about
18
I
year
know
olds.
that.
If you're
I know
18
that. There's
but-
still differences.
Hang on, help me out here.
You're-
If I'm wrong,
18-year-old
if
just
I'm
graduated high school.
hang on,
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, just help me out here.
Yeah,
Walk-
18-year-olds.
just hang on. Just walk
school.
through this with me. Do you believe that evolution's true?
Yes.
Okay. Is the primary edict of evolution to reproduce? That's the
Yes.
okay. So is attraction built into reproduction? You can't reproduce
Yeah,
with
it's
people.
one of the things that
Well,
leads
hang on.
to
Well, it's the only.
reproduction, and reproduction can also happen without a relationship and marriage. But
Totally.
we're also talking in the sense of a relationship.
I'm just talking about
and
attraction.
marriage.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about attraction. Absent attraction, there's no reproduction.
Well, I'm not talking about us like we're animals right
But
now.
I'm talking
us like
about
we're
humans. If you're not attracted to another human, you're not going to reproduce with them.
So you can't be attracted to someone your own age.
Yeah, okay, that's not what I'm saying.
Or
I'm
close to
asking.
your age?
I'm just asking you
Yeah, of
about
course you
attraction.
can.
So then, if the primary edict is to reproduce, right, and it is,
Mm-hmm.
then what do you think would be built in evolutionarily to men for who they should be most attracted to? If reproduction's the primary edict, wouldn't it be younger, fertile women?
Yeah, but
Exactly.
That's on
Exactly.
yeah, but that's just one thing, and there's so many points to it. Younger fertile women. Okay, so now you're thinking about the mother. This is the mother of my child. Is this younger fertile woman just gonna be your point of your option because she's young and fertile?
No, but
Or
it's
do you
going to
need
be a primary
consider
reason.
Things like,
yeah, I agree.
do you need to
Look,
consider other things like
I agree with
maturity,
you.
who she
Yep.
is, her family, whatever.
I agree with you in the point
For
that
education.
that humans use logic and reason in these various. We have various capabilities. We're not just at root just pure instinct, but attraction is the primary thing that matters for the beginning of a relationship. Very difficult for women to date men they're not attracted to, and it's very difficult for men. They might a woman they're not particularly attracted to, but they're probably not going to date a woman that they're not attracted to at all. So attraction's the primary edict that would even start the idea of reproduction.
So you
So
chase
if it's the
genetics?
case, the case that men, from your own perspective, would be attracted to younger women, of course they're going to be. Of course they are, and of course they're going to pursue that. That's what they're attracted to.
It's kind of like
And
how,
here I'll give you more evidence. When you do your makeup, or you do hair, you get jobs, or you do all this various things, is that to look older?
didn't
Raise
think
your
being
hand if
young is
any
what
of you
makes
have
you
ever done
attractive,
any
though.
cosmetic
When you get
surgeries, makeup, anything,
real old.
so that you look older. Raise your hand. Exactly.
How about to look better?
Exactly.
That
None of
I
you are
was-
doing it to look older.
I was